I believe the first step to living your greenest life is to do research and understand climate change. And I believe the second step for living your greenest life is to remove unwanted items from your home, remove environmentally harmful items from your home, and strive for a more minimalist lifestyle. Here are some of the steps I take to remove unwanted items from my home for a greener life. I'm very passionate about organizing and scaling back on all the junk, but I'm going to keep this brief and limit it to just a few rooms, and we're going to start with bathrooms. I often like to begin with bathrooms because they're smaller and they're very important rooms, and it's easy for cabinets to get cluttered like this. So in each room that I organize, I remove everything, clean off the countertops, and then put everything back. And I follow the same process for kitchens. It might seem tedious to remove absolutely everything from pantries and counters and cabinets, but this is necessary because those spaces are going to have to be cleaned before you can put the items back. Now, as you remove items, whether it's your bathroom or your kitchen, and after you clean the space, you'll have the opportunity to decide what is important to you and what you need to keep. So here we've got the space nice and clean. We're ready to put things back. This was from a job I did for a friend, and the food he removed I was able to donate. So remove all the items, put them in one place, clean up that space, and then as you slowly clean and put items away, you can choose what to discard and what to donate. I follow this same simple method for every room in the house, including bedrooms. So clothes especially are easy to accumulate. So go through, remove everything, take it all out of the closet, set it all on the bed, go through each pile, and I like to follow the Marie Kondo method of deciding if something sparks joy, and then you can separate items into groups, those to donate, those to sell, those to repair, etc. Now, this method might seem very simple of removing items, cleaning items, and then discarding items that you no longer want, but it works great in each room. Cleaning and organizing does not have to be a complicated process. The goal is to just remove items that you no longer want in your home to either sell or donate, and then after you've cleaned the space, replace those empty cabinets with the ones you want to keep.
After getting my degree to become a professional organizer, I decided to explore several different organizing techniques, and one that I especially loved was the KonMari method with Marie Kondo. Now, you probably have heard of this. It was really popular back maybe about a decade or so ago, and it became an absolute craze, like the art of tidying up and discarding items that don't spark joy. But I find everything she talks about to be incredibly true. Stuff does not equal happiness, and once we can escape this idea that stuff equals happiness, we can really start living life to the fullest. Back in 2015, when I was getting ready to go overseas, I had a fully furnished 3-bedroom house that I barely used anything in there. I was rarely home anyways because I worked all the time, and I got rid of everything. Like a fully furnished 3-bedroom house, all of it gone, and whatever was left I could fit in the back of my Buick, and it was the most exciting and liberating experience of my life. So after doing a little research about the KonMari method, I decided to break down the steps into some easy manageable ones for achieving a more minimalist lifestyle. I like to go room by room, and I'll go into more detail about my organizing process in another video. But in a nutshell, you need to prepare the area that you'll be scaling back on. So make sure you have a space that's clean. If you have a cluttered room, maybe clean out a little corner where nothing's being used so that you can stack things that you're either keeping or getting rid of. I like to clean the space as I go and tidy it up just because it makes it a lot easier, and things can get pretty dusty, so I always have a vacuum on hand. And then as I go through my piles of items to discard, I can put them into categories. items to sell, items to donate, items to repair, items to recycle, and items to discard. Now, my goal is to discard as little as possible. I wanted to become a professional organizer to help people organize their stuff without having to throw it into the trash can. So that's the step that I'm currently kind of stuck on, was what do we do with stuff that needs to be discarded? That's essentially trash. Now, after you've organized your piles and you have things to sell, there are a multitude of ways to sell. You can sell on eBay, you can sell on Amazon, you can sell on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, you can have yourself an old-fashioned yard sale. There are many ways to sell things. I've brought lots of used clothing to different thrift stores, and I don't have a lot of luck because most of what I wear is pretty out of style, but I have managed to make a couple of bucks. If you don't want to sell, another option is to donate. So recently I've been helping people organize their closets and their pantries. And when I come across food that is unopened and not expired, I donate it to local charities. But unfortunately, a lot of these charitable organizations get a lot of junk dumped on them. For example, don't bring food that's opened or any kind of cans that have been punctured or dented. Call first to check what kind of food they need. If you're bringing clothing items, make sure they're in good condition and that they're not stained or torn. If something is stained or torn or otherwise unfit for people to use, don't dump them on a donation. Put them in a box to repair them, or put a free sign on them and see if people will just take them away. Other items that get donated need to be clean, nothing that can grow mold. I've been told from more than one organization that no children's car seats because they're often recalled or updated. When in doubt, you can call and you can check and see which items they need the most.
So after doing my annual clothing swap, I had a lot left over, as well as some leftovers from the yard sale, so I called the local charities to donate, and I brought in all of the good donations. And our last step in the removal process is looking for environmentally harmful items. Today I am going through my house to see which products might be environmentally harmful, so come join me. First, we start in the bathroom to look at some of these cosmetic products. I try to buy eco-friendly brands, and you can usually tell if they avoid parabens, phthalates, fragrances, dyes, and other harmful chemicals. There's a big list online of harmful chemicals, and microbeads is another one. These leach into waterways because they're too small to be captured by filtration systems. So check the ingredients list on all of your beauty products. Next, I decided to check out some of the cleaners that I have. Now, this is a hard one because I love bleach. I feel like it's not clean if it's not used with bleach. Bleach can actually be pretty harmful, and I'm not sure I'm quite ready to part with it, but some of these other detergents and cleaners can be quite hazardous. So I'm going to consider a bleach alternative once I've used up the rest of this one. I was surprised to find this ant killer in my house because I'm actually highly opposed to herbicides and pesticides. Most people know that these are incredibly harmful to the environment, and there are plenty of natural alternatives to take care of pests and weeds. And if you look at the back, it even tells you that there are environmental hazards. So I'm not going to use this one up. I'm going to figure out the best way to dispose of it, which is probably at a waste hazard site. This is a hard one for me. Scented candles is on the list because burning anything can create greenhouse gases, even if it's small, and paraffin wax is really not good. It's a petroleum byproduct, but if you can find candles that are made of beeswax and use essential oils, those are a lot more natural. So I don't want to part with scented candles entirely, but I am going to be more conscientious of the ones I buy. Aerosol cans can be problematic, whether it's spray paint, hairspray, or those spray deodorants. So even though the CFC aerosols were banned in the 70s, we still have these pressurized canisters which use hydrocarbons and nitrous oxide, and these can pose a threat to the environment. So I try to use other paint alternatives when possible, but some of my projects actually require spray paint, so I'll try to use it sparingly. And I like to use these wool balls. These are good. So the product to avoid are dryer sheets. So a lot of people don't realize that that nice smell that comes from the dryer sheets actually emits a lot of toxic chemicals. These can even cause respiratory issues. They're not just bad for the environment. Anything with chemicals and fragrances is not going to be the best, and they can't be recycled or composted. So I've made the switch to these wool balls, so no dryer sheets in my house. I've been going through all my art supplies and I'm looking for any glitter. Glitter is absolutely terrible for the environment because these particles are so small, they get all over everything. It's an absolute nuisance to get rid of. Anything tiny like that, microplastics, are just, they pose a hazard because you can't catch them. You can't always make sure they don't end up in natural areas. So avoid the glitter, and if you do have some, make sure you get it secured and covered with epoxy. A big one that I think almost everyone can find in their home are single-use plastics, whether it's plastic forks and knives or these little sandwich bags. I switched to these reusable bags a long time ago and I absolutely love them. They're kind of a pain to clean out, but they're great. They work great for sandwiches. I also got these little Tupperware lid covers. So anything that has to be thrown away and can't be used more than once is absolutely terrible for the environment. So not all sunscreens are bad, but some of them can be hazardous, especially the ones that contain chemicals like oxybenzone or octinoxate. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. But there are certain chemicals that are pretty bad for plant life, especially coral reefs. So from now on, after I use up this product, I'm going to start shopping for some eco-friendly sunscreen options, or better yet, just limit my sun exposure and cover up with fabrics. And finally, single-use wet wipes. Some people use these to clean and wipe down counters. Some people use single-use makeup wipes. And some people use paper towels for cleaning. All of these are bad because they're disposable. They're not the greatest. So opt for a cloth when you can, a reusable towel. These can be washed and reused multiple times. So what should we do with these toxic products that we find in our homes that could potentially harm the environment? Well, some people will keep them in the actual container and dispose of them. If it's something that's hazardous, like pesticides, you can bring them to one of the centers that handles hazardous materials. If it's something just cosmetic, like, I don't know, a face cleanser that has the microbeads in it, you can either use it up, which I tend to do. I try to use up the rest of a product that I've purchased, but if you feel it's better to just discard it, it's best to leave it in its packaging and put it in the regular trash. A lot of these products cannot be recycled, and trying to put any of them in the recycling bin is only going to cause more work and more problems for recycling centers. So for me personally, I try to use up these products. A product like glitter that we don't want getting out everywhere, I make sure that it's sealed on whatever art project it is, and that maybe there's a layer of gloss or epoxy over it so that it doesn't escape. And then the rest of them I use up. If the container can be recycled once it's been properly cleaned out, I put it in the recycling bin. But soon I'll be talking about some really great alternatives to some of these products, and if you know of any of your own, please share them in the comments section. Thanks for watching and happy purging!